Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're returning to Strategic Command World War II, World at War. In today's episode we're going to be looking at the invasion of England, which is continuing, and the invasion of Australia. We are playing as the Axis in this game, and we're into April of 1946. The game goes up until 1947 in the spring, so we have about a year left in terms of game time. We've launched our second invasion of England. This one has succeeded in taking the port of Plymouth without much damage. The port is still at level 5 capacity for supply. We've also gotten a headquarters unit ashore, 2 armored units, and a paratrooper unit. So we have a much stronger force ashore with a very limited front that the British or the Americans can counter us at on sort of. However, I can't use words right now. That also means that our ability to break out may be more limited, as we'll have a very narrow front to advance across. But it is springtime of 1946, so hopefully we will have some good weather. Our submarines are out in full force with multiple subs along the British supply lines, both the supply lines from South Africa along the St. George's Channel and the supply lines coming across from North America. In addition to that, we've also done some damage to the British escort carrier in the Irish Sea and pushed it back with some of our submarines in order to hopefully shift some of the Allied focus away from throwing back our landings. But we'll see how that plays out. The landings have caused us to kind of thin out our forces in France a little bit, but that shouldn't really matter at this stage. And we've got a large second wave that's ready to come ashore, either at Portsmouth, or if we could, another option is to extend the beachhead by trying to take Portsmouth. The challenge there is the only realistic way for us to take Portsmouth is if we can land on the Portsmouth hex itself to take the port. That's going to be hard when it's an anti-aircraft gun on the hex, and meaning we can't just bomb the unit out and land unopposed. But anyway, so that's the situation in England. I don't want to delve too far there. North Africa, we've retaken Algeria, Tunis, Libya. We have the interior lands haven't all fallen to us, but at least the capitals have, as our armor's rolling west in Algeria. In Eastern Africa, we've taken the Sudan, and we've also just this turn liberated Eritrea, Italian Eritrea, and we are moving on the capital of Ethiopia at Addis Ababa. India has fallen to the Japanese, so we're starting to move troops out of there and prepare some of these for amphibious landings. We're probably going to go after some of the islands in the area nearby. And then our invasion of Australia is continuing. The Allies have a large number of troops that are responding to our invasion along the northern coast of Australia. We have gotten a large number of reinforcements ashore, as well as some headquarters units. We also have some headquarters units in Port Moresby, and we've started shifting some of our naval assets to the south with a large number of reinforcements on the way. The one challenge is balancing our defense of the homeland against a potential Allied invasion against our invasion of Australia, because it seems like the Americans keep throwing some naval assets at Japan proper itself. China has fallen, and so that's largely garrisoned. We don't have a ton of troops there. Most of them are in garrison locations, and as I said, India has fallen as well. And I think that's about it. We're ready to end this turn, move from April to May, and we'll see what May has in turn for us. But let's go ahead and jump in, and that's enough of me talking. Okay, so there you get the liberating Italian Eritrea. Oh, I forgot about Peru. Peru surrendered to the Axis powers. Argentina took Peru. Partisan activity in India. So apparently there are... The weird thing is India has partisans on both sides, because you get partisan attacks by the Indians against the British, but now that India has fallen to us, apparently you also get partisan attacks against the Japanese. So we need to be careful of what we all pull out and where we leave troops in India then, because it means we have to make sure that we don't allow for any uprisings in India against us there as well. It would be a shame to take India only to lose it. Okay, so now we're just waiting to see what the Allies do. The Americans have a boatload of submarines. It's been really annoying. They sank a carrier last turn. Wait a minute. The Allies just moved an anti-aircraft unit out of Portsmouth and replaced it with an infantry unit? Yes, please. We might be able to expand our beachhead. We've got 1 long-range transport off the coast of Brest, 2 short-range transports. I'm assuming this transport in the channel will die, either from air attack or enemy naval attacks. You can see their sub just finished off a motor torpedo boat of ours. I made a big mistake by leaving this guy out here. So we're probably going to lose a Panzer army just from that. Their strategic bombers are still bombing Germany. That seems like an interesting decision. I would think you'd want to pound the beachhead with your strategic bombers because you can reduce the supply of a unit if you hit them with strategic bombers. Yes, they hurt our economy by flattening Munich there. They just destroyed the entire city of Munich's industrial production. But we have so many cities in Europe, and we have all of Russia, which is largely out of range. I mean, that's not even going to put a dent in our economy. Yeah, Munich's an important city. It has like 10 MPP output, but we have like 1,500 per turn. Meanwhile, you can see there they are doing some tactical bombing of this amphibious force. They are damaging it. Our interceptors are hitting them. And the good news, I guess, with this, the fact that they're attacking there means they're not hitting our ground forces on the island, on the beachhead, as hard as they could. Still have to do something about that British unit in Norway. I keep forgetting about, but we also don't really have enough supply up there to overrun them either. You know, there was a period after France fell, but before we were ready. Oh my God, that was a pretty big attack. They almost wiped that paratrooper unit out. I suppose they still could with air attacks. But there was a period where it seemed like things calmed down, but now that we've invaded Australia and England, the turn lengths are kind of lengthening again. Meanwhile, we had landed near Cairns on the northeastern coast of Australia, but we pulled those SNLF forces out, those Japanese Marines out. I'm kind of regretting that because they do have the ability to maintain supply in areas without good supply for a couple of turns. And that would have been useful to have them kind of in the rear to be drawing some of the forces off of those 3 other units that we have. Meanwhile, an American troop transport or amphibious force moving across the channel. Why they're moving in amphibious vehicles, I don't know, but they just ran into one of our subs and got mauled, nearly destroyed. They're a level 5 amphibious. I didn't even know you could have that high attack. That's nutso. But yeah, the American economy is the one thing we can't seem to stop. They keep getting stronger, and they keep producing so many units. We destroy a bunch of their units, but it's not enough. More partisans in Norway, supply issues in Crete, Axis raiders disrupting US to UK convoys, Australia to UK convoys, Canada to UK convoys. Lots of disruption there. We'll see what the actual impact is to the British economy this turn. Doesn't really hurt the American economy, just the British. 41st Tactical Bombers destroyed, 20th Tactical Bombers destroyed, Munich damage from bombing, 1st Flotilla motor torpedo boats destroyed. Meanwhile, 14, 29, 49, 52, 62, 74 MPPs destroyed at sea. That's a pretty big, I mean, that's pretty substantial. Meanwhile, we spotted an American carrier off the coast of San Francisco. All right, so our beachhead survived. I'd reinforce these paratroopers, but I don't really want to yet. I think I want to, because I want to see if I can get these Tigers into play. So let's see. What's the best thing to do here? Probably hit these tanks with our tactical bombers. We're going to deal with interceptors, but we've got escorts. Okay. Wow, we nearly destroyed those guys. Do I want to attack it with Panthers? They must be low on, they must not have an American headquarters unit nearby, because these guys are incredibly brittle at the moment. Alright, so we're going to attack this tank unit. We'll destroy it. And then we'll use our second attack that turn against this American army unit. We'll move the heavy Tiger tank forward, knock out this American army unit, and then destroy this garrison unit at Bristol. These guys will advance forward. That'll let us reinforce this paratrooper unit. Headquarter unit will move 1 to that direction. Panzer Grenadiers are going to move through the channel via transport and unload there. So now we have an additional unit. Can't quite move into Bristol yet. Okay. So there's that. We still have quite a few bombers left here. We only attacked with one of them. So now we're going to try and hit Portsmouth with our tactical bombers. The nice thing is as we advance on London also, it's going to be further east, which we have some bombers in the Netherlands. And again, as we advance east, those bombers are going to get closer and closer to, or those targets are going to get closer and closer to the units in the Netherlands, which means that we'll be more able to effectively, I'm trying to think of the word, effectively support our invasion with air. Man, there's just so many Allied air units here escorting, or intercepting. But our escorts are actually doing a pretty darn good job of keeping them off our troops. Can we hit these guys? I know I'm wasting like all my air units on this one British army here in Portsmouth, but I really want that second port if I can get it. Okay, that's a lot of freaking escorts. All right, these guys already struck. These guys can't reach. Yeah. So that'll about do it for... At least the strafing run did some damage to enemy fighters. More interceptors, good God. We're doing more damage to them than they to us, for the most part. Hey, that was the first one where there wasn't... There we go. Alright, so that... Oh, you're kidding. You can't land there? There we go. Alright, so the armor there lands at Portsmouth. Okay. Do we want to hit these guys? Doesn't look like we can do any damage to them. Use our V1s against them. Medium bombers. Why do I not have more bombers in range? I need to get those guys over there in range. Anyway, we took Portsmouth, so that's good. We'll swap our Panzer Grenadiers out to the front line. That doesn't actually do anything for us there. So Bristol might fall next turn, but in any event, we have a second beachhead here at Portsmouth. Gonna pull these guys back to Brest, seeing as they survived. I guess we'll move... Do we want to move on Klucher? Do we want another headquarters unit on the British Isles? Probably don't need it yet. Nobody can reach out there yet. Yeah, so I think we'll leave those guys in place. I'm going to try and reinforce some of these air units to give us a little bit better air cover. At least the ones I didn't already waste on ground attacks. Okay, so that's that. Meanwhile, our subs here should finish off this transport. And they do. So that American unit was destroyed at sea. Meanwhile, these subs are all partaking in commerce raiding. Oh my goodness, they just discovered the 15th U.S. whatever that is. Another U.S. amphibious task force? Good God, sir. Presumably these are reinforcements. Need to do our best to destroy them. Can this destroyer make it that far? No. It can't. Not to engage them anyway. I don't have like any naval assets there. Got him! Alright, so we destroyed that one at least. So we got one of the American units. Okay. This guy could go this way, but he's not going to do much damage. Or none. This is an American headquarters unit, so if this gets to England, that will improve their supply. But at least we destroyed 2 American units, plus theoretically we block the approaches there, so I don't know if they can just cross it or not. I don't have any air units that I can attack him, I don't think. Where's the maritime bomber? The Fliegerkorps. Would have been good to use him against that, but I already moved him. So I think that's going to do it for the British front. An interesting turn. We're starting our slog toward London, and then Manchester's the alternate capital, and Edinburgh's the next alternate capital. So who knows if we'll be able to succeed or get all that done in time. As far as Germany's concerned, research is almost maxed out. We can do more anti-tank weapons, I guess. It's good for infantry to have anti-tank weapons. And then for the Germans, we need to purchase some stuff. We can buy infantry corps, I guess. These guys will come into play in time, at least. How much more money do I have? I'm spending a lot of money on this infantry. We are raising a whole new German Wehrmacht. Okay. That's a lot of frickin' infantry. We'll buy another motor torpedo boat too. And then I wanted to do one other thing. What was that? We'll leave that. We'll move to North Africa. Enemy contact. Wow. Can we operate? No, but we can transport. So we'll move these guys here. I can't unload them at Orion yet, though. Interesting. Oh, why'd I do that? Okay. All right. So, reinforcing the North African coast a little bit. Getting some of our destroyers around there. So we're moving on Fez. This armored unit will probably be low on supply, but we'll be landing Rommel's HQ in Oran next turn, so that should help. Maybe we can even make a play for Gibraltar, although I doubt it. Meanwhile, moving into the Sudan. Need to get this headquarter unit closer to these tanks. Alright, trying to get this headquarter unit closer to Ethiopia's capital. We've at least surrounded it, so that should be able to be taken, hopefully before too long. I think we had some... No, we already brought those German troops ashore. Meanwhile, they're back in Persia, so they're going to start getting supply. we move these guys to Tricomoli? Maybe not. Looks like the Americans have troops there. What about partisans? And so we need troops in Bombay, troops in Delhi, and Peshawar. Okay, so that's in Karachi. But that's all we need there. Meanwhile, is anybody not in a headquarters unit? Interesting. So far, there's a lot of rain over Australia right now. Interesting that the Americans basically have no supply for these troops on the northern coast. So successfully destroyed that American Marine Special Forces Division. Can we move these guys here? No. And these air units can't bomb because of the weather. Headquarters unit moves forward. Keep them in Darwin to guard our rear, because that's our key port that we need to hold. Alright, so... is Sydney really open? Kind of interesting if it was. Melbourne, too? I'm not sure if we can really see far enough inland or not. Brisbane is not. So I kind of want to see if we can land Sydney. Oh, fuck. I didn't want to do that. I'm going to have to pull. Hopefully the enemy doesn't know it's there. Because that was a mistake. He was not supposed to end up all the way down there by himself. Apparently they can move across those terrain markers, though. Be curious if this action that I'm doing down here triggers some sort of AI response. Because I'm obviously going all in for a southern invasion. Do I have any headquarters units down here? 1st Japan, Tokyo Botai Army. Yeah, Itagachi. So I do have a headquarters unit down there. So we'll move this aircraft carrier here. Again, I'm really curious to see if they pull everything like back, essentially. Oh shit, I didn't mean to do that. I just moved my carrier adjacent to an enemy cruiser. That wasn't supposed to be the way I did it. Okay, we'll move these guys further south. Keeping some of these carriers out by Japan. Some of our naval forces by Japan. I think that's everybody over here. I'm assuming the Americans have some forces at Perth, another secondary supply. But the capital's Canberra. And then we've got Melbourne. And I think that's it for their capitals. So we might actually... I mean, it depends on if they react to this and if these guys get attacked next turn. But if they don't... I mean, maybe we can... Nice. Nice. All right, so we got 2 good hits on that cruiser, I think. Okay. Oh, they do have an American headquarters unit here. We'll want to hit that as hard as we can. So we did some damage here that should limit their supplies. Well, that's got to be the hope. We'll reinforce this guy. Alright, so we've got an armored unit here, but we can't quite get it to Australia, so I'll move it to Batavia. It gets us most of the way there. We'll move it to Australia next turn. You know, these fighters at Napur are going to move to Australia as well. So we'll have some fighter cover over our troops. Operate these guys down here also. I'm trying to be a little bit careful with how much I load into Australia because I only have so many headquarters units here. So we'll get this Okamura HQ on the way too. So it'll head down to Surabaya. So it'll land in Australia next turn, which will increase our number of units that we can supply down there because headquarters units are vital for supply. These German units... I'd actually like to get these guys into Bombay. Okay. All right, I'm going to try and take this island as well from the Americans. These guys are never getting out of there, are they? Alright, so I think that's about it for this turn. We've got Sudan's Addis Ababa surrounded. We've got India starting to filter some of the troops out. Should probably reinforce these guys. Not forgetting anything in the heartland there. I need to reinforce some of these units back in Japan. These guys suffered very heavy damage. Okay. Not sure where the rest of the American carrier fleet is. We know there's one off the eastern or the western U.S. coast, probably at least a day away. So a little too far away to do much to us yet. But I think that's going to probably just about do it here for this episode. Yeah, so we've almost taken North Africa from the Americans. They've got a couple of units left. Hopefully Ethiopia is surrounded and destroyed in the next 2 turns. The invasion of England continues. We've taken Portsmouth. We've taken Plymouth. We're threatening to take Bristol. The British are obviously cramming a lot of troops in there. The Americans are sending troops across the Atlantic, of which we've ravaged and inflicted some heavy casualties on them. And that's the situation right now as the invasion of Argentina or Australia continues. I guess the only other thing we have, now that I say Argentina, is like, I don't know how I'm supposed to... Can I get at Colombia? Probably not. We can try an amphibious landing. I don't know what kind of... They don't have any amphibious technology. Could be fun to go after... We could go after Bolivia, I guess. Try and eliminate some of these countries here in the south of South America. That's certainly something we could do. We'll have to wait to do that till next turn, though. So with that being said, actually, can we purchase anything with Argentina? Destroyer. We can buy an Argentine destroyer. Why not? Get a little bit of naval force there in the south. If it occurs before the end of the game. Syria, Tunisia, Slovakia, Romania. Argentina is the only minor ally of Germany with a navy. The only minor ally at all with a navy. Interesting. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode, guys. We'll pick things up next time. And until then, this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you very much for watching, and I'm out.